we will go ahead and get started. Thank you everyone who's introduced yourselves. We are excited to have you here on Meetup Live. So first of all, I want to introduce myself. I'm Natalie Turton. I'm a marketing coordinator here at Meetup. And today we'll be having a conversation with Elena Forte, organizer of Fairfax Beginners Dungeons and Dragons, and Kim Foster, organizer of Miami Figure Drawing Saturday Morning Group, as they share what it's been like to revive their community, engage members, and host rockin' IRL events. So before we get started, we're going to go over the guidelines and the agenda. So this event will be recorded, but don't worry, you will not appear in the video, and your audio will be muted so that you'll only hear the panelists. The chat for the event will be turned off, but if you have any questions, please submit them with the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen. That's the only way that our panelists will be able to answer your questions at the end. We also have closed captioning available. On the bottom of your screen, you'll see the live transcription icon, and you can select your preference. So quickly going through the agenda, I'll give an introduction for our panelists, and then we'll go into a conversation where I'll ask them some questions, and then at the end, they'll answer your questions. So as a reminder, if you have questions for our panelists, please put them in the Q&A button at the bottom. So I will begin with introduction. First, we have Alaina Forte, who graduated from Brown University with a degree in applied mathematics and economics. She now lives in Northern Virginia and works as a shift supervisor at Starbucks. Alaina is passionate about combating loneliness by building communities and helping people form strong relationships. In her free time, she enjoys playing Dungeons and Dragons, making giant bubbles in parking lots, and exercising her creativity in new and exciting ways. And Kim Foster was born and raised in Miami, Florida. She studied graphic design, attending Pratt Institute in New York and the London College of Printing in England. On her return to Miami, Kim launched her graphic design business and began painting figures in oil as she continued drawing, and has continued drawing every week since. Kim paints what she loves: people, pets, family, and all things growing, in colors inspired by South Florida. Kim's also a resident member of Artwork Associates, Inc., joining the co-op when the figure drawing group session she attended for 40 years could no longer meet in the original building. She and member Jean Page moved the Saturday morning figure sessions to Artworks and brought Meetup with them. Artists from all over the world learn about their group on Meetup and attend drawing sessions when in Miami. And before we dive into our discussion, for anyone that has questions around Meetup's COVID-19 guidelines, we'll be sharing a link in the chat and we'll have it available afterwards on the recording of this event as well. So if everyone's ready, we'll dive right into our discussion. So the first question that I have for Elena and Kim: how long have you been a Meetup organizer, and why did you become a Meetup organizer? If you'd like to start us off, Kim.
Okay, well, I joined Meetups as an organizer about 7 years ago. We'd been meeting as a drawing group informally for decades, but over the decades, our local group diminished, and I heard about Meetup, and I thought, well, let's give it a shot. It was the best thing we ever did because it continued our group. We didn't ever have a ton of people come, but the 2 or 3 that came from Meetups was enough to pay the model. And it's grown like that ever since. We have over 1,200 members, and we all still see about maybe 4 or 5 people each week. But it's continued, and we've met people from all over the world. It's been great.
That's awesome. I haven't been organizing that long. I started organizing back in like 2019, I think. I've been on Meetup for a few years longer than that. But I started the D&D group back in 2019, and now we have we used to have about 30 people every week, and I lowered the cap actually to help distance a bit more to 18 to 24 instead for the D&D meetups. But I have also like a wacky activities meetup and a women's D&D meetup, and it's been great so far.
That's great. Thank you guys for sharing. So you both stopped hosting events during the pandemic. Can you tell us a bit about why you decided to stop?
I'll go first. We met in a big, large, beautiful second floor studio that had no open windows. You know, they were sealed shut. When COVID hit, there was no way we could have anybody meet there. Our resident artists ranged in age to old. And, you know, while Miami-Dade County in Florida was reeking with COVID, we had to shut down.
Yeah, ours was for similar reasons. We usually meet in a grocery store, actually, Wegmans. Um, there's like a cafe area upstairs, and that wouldn't have been open during COVID. So the meeting location wasn't really an option. And also for everyone's safety, I didn't think it was good to have 30 people gathering in a grocery store, which is, for essential workers and essential services during the pandemic. So we just shut down for that reason.
Of course, makes sense. It was, I'm sure, a hard decision for a lot of organizers, and figuring out all of the logistics of meeting in person probably doesn't work, and figuring out if online even makes sense. So, how did your members react to pausing your events?
Well, nobody asked to do it online because it's just it wouldn't work. So they understood. Nobody, was really upset, but they certainly kept asking, when do you think we're going to come back? When do you think we're going to come back? We just didn't think we were going to come back until, vaccinations were around and we could safely do it. So we waited until then, we waited until vaccines were plentiful and our
Um,
citizens of Dade County could get them.
yeah, that's important. Um, yeah, we were similar. People were like understanding about us not meeting anymore. A lot of people wanted to meet online, but I just didn't know how it would work with like Zoom or some other service. So I never ended up doing that. But I did help people form some groups that they could meet with outside of Meetup. We started a Discord server, and then people chat in there and form like online groups and stuff, which was good for during the worst times of the pandemic, so people could still play D&D and meet up, or not meet up but see each other online. But then people started asking again after a little while, when are we going to start again? Especially after vaccines came out, people really wanted to get back into it, and so did I. So we started up.
Cool. When you were pausing events, how did you feel when you've had to stop? What was that feeling like?
Well, for me, it was really strange because I'd been drawing every single week for about 40 years, at a Saturday morning drawing class. So it was the end to something that was very routine for me, but I kind of changed it and I poured myself literally into watercolor and did a lot more work at home and really got better at watercolor. So, in a weird way, it was like stepping back from something I was used to and trying something different.
Yeah, that's nice. For me, I mean, it was kind of a relief at first, because I'd been kind of getting burnt out with meetups and hosting every week. And I had just started at a new job at Starbucks, and it was getting to be a lot, especially with the pandemic and the stress around that. Um, but after, not very many months, I was ready to get back into it, but obviously it wasn't feasible. But it was a little bit of a nice break for a while, and then I missed it a lot, and I was very excited to come back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm sure there's a piece of
sure.
how all of us were missing community and feeling a little bit isolated, but
Mhm.
that probably plays a part in when you decided to start back up again. So could you tell me a bit about why you decided to start hosting events again, and what changes you had to make, if any?
Um, we were really keen on starting again, but we didn't want to put anybody in danger. So when our core group were vaccinated, we invited some people to come that we knew were vaccinated and had started up the drawing class again. It was about a month into that when I felt that we were ready to open up the doors and go back to Meetup and say, okay, I may not know you, but you're welcome to come. And and that was great. A few of our models chose to wear masks. So we had one or two times where the model was nude, wearing a mask, and our artists were not masked. So it worked and nobody is bothered. Some people wear masks and some don't, and we're good with it.
Yeah, I think that's really valuable. Is just making sure that everyone does what they feel comfortable with, but
Yeah.
also what's safe.
Mhm.
So if someone wants to wear a mask, allow them to wear a mask without judgment. But if someone's vaccinated and doesn't want to wear a mask, that should be fine too by CDC guidelines. Um, I did like a similar thing where we, started back up, but only for vaccinated individuals for the time being, which I posted an RSVP question actually on the Meetup so people can answer it whether or not they're vaccinated, and that's a good way of just ensuring that they've said yes to that. And I also added a note to the Meetup asking that only vaccinated individuals attend for the time being. And yeah, people wear masks to start sometimes. I always keep my mask on until I find out whether or not everyone is comfortable with that. And I've just, gotten a lot of feedback from my members and from other organizers in my group about what they're comfortable with personally, getting a wider variety of information, which I think is really important. Just making sure you are in touch with your community and you know what they feel comfortable with, what's good in your area, and making sure that everyone feels comfortable and safe coming out.
Mhm.
Yeah, those are all really important points, and being upfront with what the group is going, like what the standard is for each group. So that's something that I would recommend for organizers is on your group page and on your event page to let your members know this is what this is what we do. Like we require masks or whatever you feel comfortable with. Just making sure that members know what they're getting themselves into when they show up. I think being respectful of everybody's comfort level is important. So thank you both for sharing that. Um, and then what was it like when you were hosting your first event after a year of hiatus? What were your members' reactions? How did you feel? Can you tell me about that?
In our group, everybody is thrilled. The energy in the room is amazing. I mean, you're very concentrated when you're drawing, but then in between poses and stuff like that, people were just electric, happy. And I noticed that with the new people coming in from meetups now, like people who've joined late in the pandemic and weren't old members, but brand new when they walk in the door now, we're getting younger people and older people. And I'm talking about 18 to 80-year-olds, and everybody is so thrilled to be there, and they talk to each other. It's been great. It's been really great.
Yeah, I'd had a pretty similar experience. The energy is kind of like electric when you start a new meetup or start up again after a long time. Everyone was really excited to be back. We do one shots at my D&D meetup, and our first one was Studio Ghibli inspired. It was based on like Cinder Spirits from Spirited Away. I don't know if anyone's seen that, but I found it on the Dungeon Masters Guild online, and it was really good. And that had like a recipe included, and one of my members made snacks that went with the recipe, and it was like little cake pops that looked like the Cinder Spirits, which was adorable. Usually people don't bring snacks, but that was kind of special to share that with everyone, and everyone had a really good time. And it was just nice to see, new faces, old faces, and start building the community again.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I'm so glad that you had those experiences, and it's really neat seeing all of the new energy that everybody's bringing to social interactions and how special it is to find something online to look forward to actually getting to do it in person. Um, could you share a bit about any challenges that you've faced now that you've been hosting events for a little while since you've unpaused?
We haven't had too many challenges. People are comfortable either wearing masks or not wearing masks. We do have masks and hand sanitizer out there available if somebody wants to pick up a mask and put it on. It's there. But just the joy that we get from people who have shared interest in something. And that is exactly what Meetup is. It's a shared interest group. And when you get a lot of people with that shared interest together, they can't believe it because they haven't experienced that before, that particular interest. So, we haven't had any problems, and so far it's been just great.
Yeah, I'd say we haven't really had any major problems either. It's just, little awkwardnesses from not being in communities for so long. Like I meet a new person, I'm like, do I shake your hand? Do I elbow bump you? Should I not touch you at all? I don't know. Stuff like that. And also, the awkwardness of like, do you want to wear a mask? Do I want to wear a mask? And people sort of just, the conversations that people aren't used to having yet. But no major problems. And it's been really good so far. I mean, I think I anticipated a lot more problems than there were. I thought, people are
Right.
going to be uncomfortable meeting in person. People are going to feel unsafe. But I guess if people would feel unsafe, they just wouldn't come. They wouldn't attend an event with strangers. Or if you're in a high risk category or you're worried about, your family or something, then it's not as if we're like forcing those people to come to the meetups. So it's been really good so far.
That's great to hear. I'm wondering, how many events have you hosted since you started back up? And is that getting easier, or folks becoming more comfortable with the balance of all the different COVID safety levels, and how has that been?
We've been meeting every week. So, since about March, I guess,
Okay.
when,
Yeah, we've been meeting every week for like a little over a month now. We're having a meeting tonight, actually. Hopefully the storm isn't too bad here. But yeah, we'll hopefully have a meeting tonight. And then, yeah, just over a month. I did, like I said, I lowered the cap from 30 to about 18 to 24, depending on the week. But it's still been really good, and not much else is different, Yeah.
Gotcha. What advice would you give to organizers who are thinking about restarting their groups?
I think that you have to do what we've just been talking about. Let everybody find their comfort level. And if they've been vaccinated and they still want to wear a mask, that's fine. If they've not, let them. I know that since I'm vaccinated, I'm less of a risk than the next person. So, let everybody come to their own comfort level, whether they can participate again now or they want to wait, that's up to them. But it's nice to get the ball rolling.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's also just really important to communicate with your community. If you have other organizers in your group, make sure you're keeping in touch with them. And ask your members what they feel comfortable with. Maybe like try outdoor events first because it's summer. Maybe the weather's nice. And people do feel more comfortable meeting outdoors sometimes. And yeah, just like use all the tools Meetup gives you. You can add RSVP questions like I've done to ask people, if they are comfortable following CDC guidelines. You can add notes to your Meetup event. Yeah, or like start a discussion on your Meetup and see if people want to meet up, if they feel more comfortable this way or that way, and just see what the community is feeling.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
And what would you say to organizers who have restarted but have low attendance or no show-ups? Do you have any advice for them?
I think, if you can, just keep trying and encouraging them on your invitations. Say, yeah, we had a great time at this event, and we had 3 or 4 people show up. We'd love to see you. Just encouragement.
Yeah, I'd say just keep at it because it can take a little while to gain traction. But I think if you're consistent and people are having a good time and the events are good, it should eventually catch on. But also, like I said, just stay in touch with the community and make sure you understand what they are looking for and what they want, like if you're hosting events in a way that people aren't feeling safe or that they don't feel like they can go, then maybe you can talk to people, discuss and figure out a way that works better for everyone, and that everyone can feel comfortable and safe going out to the meetups.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all great advice. I would add too, sometimes it's just a matter of whether or not members know about it. So when a group is inactive for a while, sometimes the automatic emails about, hey, there's an event happening, sometimes those don't work. So using the contact members tool is great for that. So it's a personalized message that's going to members so that they know an event is coming up. And that helps also if you don't have 3 groups yet and you're an organizer, you could always just start another one. And what happens when you start a new group is that Meetup sends a message to members in your area that have similar interests that align with that new group. So they get a notification, hey, this new group showed up. We think you might be interested. So those are some things that you can try if you're not getting the traction that you're looking for.
Yeah.
And so for another question for Kim and Elena, what are you excited to see happen in your events in the next few months?
I think I'm excited to start hosting more different kinds of events again because the D&D ones are pretty standard. We do pretty much the same kind of event every week, but we used to also have different types of events. We would have like a dungeon master round table where we would meet up with like some dungeon masters and talk about all of our strategies and techniques. And when we had more people come, we also did higher level play. It is a beginners group, so we usually stick to levels 1 to 4, but we would also, go up to like level 16.
Yeah.
with people who wanted to when there's a larger group, because you can like split the levels more easily. So I'm excited to do that again because high level play is really fun and not many people get to do it because you usually start a campaign at low levels. That's pretty D&D specific though. But in my other meetup, I have like a wacky activities meetup that I'm really excited to start doing more with, just like random activities because we've only done outdoor stuff so far. And it is good to do outdoor meetups. Like last time we did fake bird watching, which is a weird activity. But I'm planning one where we're going to do dramatic readings from like a little Leave One Take One library, which should be fun. And just, getting out there, doing more stuff, meeting more people, the usual.
Well, we acquired an art gallery as part of our Artworks Associates. So we're going to have art openings with live music and invite the entire community out to those. We do have a portrait drawing class as well as the Saturday morning drawing class. And people have been asking for like a Thursday night version of our Saturday morning class. People sometimes want to draw at night rather than on a Saturday morning. So, we're going to roll those things out as we see the numbers, support it. We have to pay the model, and that's pretty much key to the kind of events that we do for drawing. But we're excited about our art gallery and workshops and doing all kinds of new things. And I credit Meetup for making it happen.
Yeah, that is exciting that like so many things can happen like
It's
that.
great.
I don't live in Miami, but I would totally visit your art gallery if I did.
Well, you'd be invited to come anytime you're in
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, there's so much exciting stuff to look forward to. And
Yes.
I am glad to hear that you both have stuff that you're looking forward to as well.
Yeah.
Great. So I think we can move into our Q&A section. We have a couple questions already. We have a question from Anonymous who asks, by requiring only vaccinated individuals to attend, did you get any pushback from other members that were not vaccinated that wanted to attend?
I didn't have any pushback so far. No one's like said anything to me about it at all, actually. But I also, I don't really require much proof of vaccination. People can show me their vaccination card or a photo of it if they want to. But I just, trust that people are being honest and trust the best intent of other people. So yeah, I haven't had any pushback about it so far.
We've had a little bit in that, some of our members were not happy. I'm talking about the core group of Artworks Associates, but we have a sign on the door that says we follow CDC guidelines. So we're not allowed to ask if people are vaccinated. We're in Florida. So we don't, but really the people that are vaccinated are protected and the ones that are coming in are the ones that are not. So, if they're not feeling protected, they don't come,
Gotcha. Yeah, that all makes sense. And it hints at like what we've talked about before and like
Yeah.
being upfront so people know what to expect. And I'm glad that there hasn't been too much of an issue. And I hope that other organizers also don't face too much problems and we can all just get together and be safe.
Right.
Yeah.
We have another question for Elena. What is fake bird watching?
Fake bird watching is an activity that I made up where you go to the park and you either watch birds that are not there, fake birds, and make up things about them. Like, we tried to find the snipe from Up when we went. If anyone's seen that. Or you watch real birds that are there and make up fake names, fake facts about them. Someone suggested to me that we should go to, a yard with a lot of like lawn flamingos and observe those too, fake birds. We didn't actually do that this time, but maybe next time. We'll see.
That's wonderful.
Bring some
Yeah, I feel
binoculars,
like
little flamingos.
exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like we'd all be happier people if we just did more wacky activities like in your group.
Yeah.
That's fun. Yeah. We have a question from TS who asks, fellow DM here and Seattle D&D group. Elena, what's the name of the Ghibli-inspired module you mentioned? Thanks.
Oh, what was it? I think that it was like a pack of one-shots. I think it was like Eyes Unclouded or something. It's on DM's Guild though. And the specific one, I don't remember what it was called. It was about the Cinder Spirits. It was the first one in the pack though. but maybe I can post a link if I find it later or something. But it's very good. It's very, fun modules, lots of different adventures, and they're all mostly pretty short, so they're good for our group. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah.
I hope they're able to find it.
Yeah.
We have a question from Somi who asks, where do you get your inspirations for wacky activities?
Inspiration for wacky. No, I mean, mostly it's just stuff that I would want to do by myself, but I would rather do it with a group of people. So it's things where I'd be like, this would be fun, but wouldn't it be more fun with strangers? Or it's things that I would already do by myself, or things that I daydream about. I also have this, there's a random generator online that I use a lot. I actually found it at the beginning of the pandemic. It's a COVID-19 activity generator. So I use that. It has lots of great stuff in there, like make a rainbow sea monster out of balloons, or various other activities. I don't know. But lots of places I get inspiration for wacky activities. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks. We have a question for Kim. How do you keep activities exciting and fresh from week to week?
Well, in some strange way, well, the best way is that we always we welcome different models. So it's not using the same model every week. And it's a pretty academic drawing class in that it's not instructed, but the models do gestures and then 2-minute and then 5-minute and then 10-minute poses. So, drawing the human body, even if you're drawing the same human body every week, is always different and interesting to do. And when we add to that mix different people, makes it even more interesting.
That's great. And I'm wondering, question for both of you. Have you seen any like really great friendships, or we've had some organizers whose members have even like facilitated marriages that happened because of their group. Do you have any stories of like great relationships that have been built?
I don't know if we've started a marriage, but I know some of my members might be dating right now. Not to like spill any beans, but and I mean, a lot of people form D&D groups from our group. That's probably the biggest form of relationships that come from it. Just people, meet people in the meetup and then they form their own group outside and they keep playing on a different day or something. We have a lot of that happening.
We've seen, since we've been meeting so long, I mean, people just become your friends. I know the name of almost everybody who walks in the door after meeting them a couple times. And I see them, but, seeking out each other. And it just so much. We have somebody who was stuck in Miami because she's from Taiwan. She was here all year, and instead of being able to travel back, and she's a great friend of ours. And, I feel good that we were able to include her in activities, while she's so far from home and such like that. So it's been great. We definitely made friends of our attendees.
That's awesome.
And they've made friends of each other.
Yeah, same.
Sorry, I'm just checking to see if we have any other questions. For either of you, do you know if any of those relationships, perhaps from before COVID, if any of those stuck around and like helped people going during the pandemic?
Yeah, I'd say so. I know a lot of D&D groups kept going during the pandemic that people had formed. So people were playing online throughout the whole year. My personal group that I met at the meetup is playing online for the whole year, and we still are friends. So yeah, I'd say it's been pretty successful in that regard too.
Well, ours was most like a, get together again after not seeing each other for a year and a half kind of reunions. So that's been, a celebration every week when somebody else new who hasn't been around long comes back.
Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful. Maybe we can ask one more for both of you. I'm curious, what are your favorite things about being an organizer?
I mean, I think it's just like really building the community and seeing everybody come together and knowing that I helped them do that, and forming the friendship, sort of all we've been talking about, seeing everyone's faces, feeling the electric energy. I know I'm not saying just one thing, But yeah, it's probably just getting to see people, meet other people, and become friends. Yeah.
That's it exactly. She took the words right out of my mouth. It's really heartwarming to be, you know, in a group that is fostering friendships and community. And we're reaching out to the community of artists who just happen to be in Miami. Since we're not subscription, nobody has to buy a block of lessons or, you know, sessions to come. You just come and you pay for that session. It's rewarding to see people coming back over and over and over again, like year after year when they visit Miami.
Yeah, I think
That's
meetup's really valuable because it's so hard to make people or meet people and make friends as an adult.
Yeah.
You know, outside of, oh, you're sitting next to everyone who has the same letter last name as you, become friends with them in school. Or, you know, seeing all the same people all the time. It's mostly just you go to work, you go home. It's good to have somewhere else to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's really important work that both of you and all of the organizers that are joining us in this session today, like a lot of people really need this and it's impacting so many lives. And so thank you for all of the work that you do. And thank you for joining us today. I want to thank both of you and everybody that's joined us for joining Meetup Live. I'm going to share a couple slides before we go. Here we go. So for those of you that aren't organizers yet, you can find others who share your interests on Meetup and save 30% on your first subscription. You can go to meetupsavings.com to do that. And also, we launched a podcast called Keep Connected with Meetup CEO earlier this year. And it also features Elena Forte, whose episode came out yesterday. So if you want to hear more about her story, check out our most recent episode. Feel free to scan that QR code, check out the URL we have there, meetuppodcast.com. And we also have the episodes on our Community Matters blog. So there is that. And as a reminder, you can view a recap of this event in a few days on our Community Matters blog at meetup.com/blog. So again, thank you so much for joining us today and stay safe, everyone. See ya.